Hello everybody! Many of you may be familiar with a game called Yandere Simulator. For those of you who are not, it is a game proposed around 2014-ish by a guy that ended up absolutely blowing up. What blew up more than this game, however, appears to be one programmer and his personality and attitude that pissed off the internet time and time again, but recently has found himself in hot water once more. So I wanted to do a video talking about that man, who goes online by Yanderedev. Normally I like to talk about stuff while having a speed paint in the background. Today, I'm probably going to be a little ranty. I apologize, I'm not the angry type of person, but there are things about this guy's personality and behavior that genuinely rubs me in exactly the way I don't like. I'm not here to dunk on this guy and nitpick him though, just cover the timeline of events and talk about things that are pretty not cool, and I would advise those of you listening, if you behave this way, maybe reconsider? Anyways, I'd like to invite you, precious buns, down the rabbit hole once more to talk about indie game dev and creator of the infamous Yandere simulator game, Yanderedev. There are many trends in the anime fandom and gaming world. Many things we look back on as we get older and think, oh good lord, what was I thinking? Embarrassing Facebook statuses from your younger weeb past come up with memories and make you physically cringe. In the earlier years of the internet, many self-proclaimed otakus had their posts littered with XDs, glomps, and randomly sprinkled in Japanese words typed in Romaji where they just don't fit. You'll see memes dunking on these, such as the "Watashi am very happy right now," arigato type of thing, or katakana neckbeard wielding pics, despite it not really being anything you genuinely see anymore. Among one of those trends was the ever so cursed yaoi paddle, which many today have no idea what it is, but many others, however, remember their terrible reign on the anime and convention communities. With any fandom or hobby, there are bound to be trends that come and go. With the internet and anime community, the dere trend blossomed. There's this thingamabobber we call anime personality types, such as the aho or the ojo. But more popularly, we have the deres, like tsundere, kudere, yandere, etc. They really picked up and became popular around 2010-ish in the West. The dere trend comes from these terms in Japanese anime and games, coming from the onomatopoeia dere, which means love-struck. Tsundere comes from a combination of that and tsuntsun, which means to look away in disgust or revulsion, if that makes sense. A combination of the two, tsundere implies a tough on the outside, sweet on the inside trope for a character. There are a variety of deres, such as kudere, dandere, kamedere, mayadere, hajidere, and a plethora more. What we are talking about in specific, though, today is yandere. The yan in yandere comes from the word yanderu, which means to be mentally sick or unwell. Then we have our love-struck dere component, implying a character who is mentally unstable but in love. To go into further detail, yanderes are portrayed as these sweet and normal, lovable characters who, in the name of love, completely snap and go crazy for the person they love. These characters are typically murderous, blood crazy, while having this insane anything for you, I love you attitude towards the perceived love interest of the story. One character, Yuno Gasai, really blew up that trope in 2011 when an anime, Mirai Nikki, known as Future Diary in the West, aired. Yuno is your staple yandere, being this adorable female heroine in the beginning who is absolutely obsessed with the male protag Yukiteru. She's adorable, seems sweet, but is willing to go any sort of length to be with him, including killing his loved ones and manipulating him. Without spoiling the series, she becomes this absolutely iconic character who, despite her flawed personality, is loved for how batshit she is. She is painted in a way that's both kind of funny and wild, but also lovable and maybe even understandable. Another trend in the gaming and anime world was simulating games. Simulator games have existed forever, I believe, but specific simulators like Farming Simulator or Goat Simulator and the like had picked up popularity. They're funny, simple, and make for some good short time killing. Popular gaming channels are picking them up and playing them, raising their attention in the public eye. One man, the focus of today's video, hatched a little idea. Why not both? Combining both the concept of a yandere and a simulating game, that's when our boy, Yanderedev, came in, slithering into a 4chan board in 2014 to pitch his idea. Let us discuss the game mechanics of a yandere simulator. Set in a school, pick a boy, stalk him, kill girls who flirt / talk to / look at him, stealth gameplay, have to stalk the boy without getting spotted, set up accidents to kill girls, or kill girls without getting caught, using a variety of school supplies. Dating sim gameplay, have to win the heart of the boy you have chosen without letting him find out that you are a jealous and murderous psychopath. Bad end, kill the boy and yourself. Good end, kill all harlots who try to steal the boy from you. Live happily ever after. Would V play it? It seemed like an awesome pitch, and people were excited. Next day, development was announced. He launched a dev blog, a YouTube channel, which today has garnered millions of subs. This game really blew up when several big-name YouTubers in 2015 started posting Let's Plays of his game in 2015, such as Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and PewDiePie. It really did seem like a funny and awesome prospect. The community was building and growing, and all seemed well. Yanderedev was sitting on a Patreon making $5,000 a month and seemed to be living a dream come true lifestyle. Yandere Sim really came out at a good time. But with most trends, they die down as things come and go in the fandom world. Though trends die down and it isn't popular anymore to label you and your friends as the tsundere or the kudere of your friend group, Yandere Sim didn't seem like it would struggle at all to maintain itself, being a fun game to exist on the internet and be a continuous fun part of Let's Play history. Fortunately, that wouldn't stand true. The thing is, Yandere Sim isn't suffering because of the slowdown of the Dere trend, but due to the developer himself. Let's talk about that. Alrighty, here's the fun part of the video where I put disclaimers. This fella is known to not take too kindly to less than positive statements about him, whether or not receipts back those statements up. He's copy strike videos and channels who have critiqued him, so here's the deal. If this gets copy striked, you guys know exactly why. But let me explain before getting into the meat of this video that I'm not here to nitpick the guy. I can dunk on him as much as the next guy, but there's plenty of people doing that already on the interwebs. There's also a lot, and I mean a lot of claims out there, seemingly with receipts, mind you, of him being a less than savory dude, involving like sexualization of minors or blowing his Patreon money on a sex doll, for instance. He's also had an unsavory history online before being Yandev that ties a lot of things together, but this video would be a million years long if I focused on every little thing that he's done. Instead, I want to talk about some more important things and some recent events. So before I continue, hear me out. I know that there's more out about them. They might be valuable to talk about, sure, but please do not, for the love of beans, assume that I condone any of it because I'm not talking about it in this video. There's just a lot, you feel me? I of course want to establish I don't condone any harassment. I don't want to aim any ill will in his direction. Don't do it. We're just talking about alleged things that he's done and my personal perspective of behavior that I don't really stand for. So moving along, I will briefly mention some things to kind of illustrate the person we are working with and talking about, so his behavior as a whole makes more sense. Prior to his tenure as Yanderedev, he went online as Eva Zephon, forgive my pronunciation if that's wrong, and Zephon Eva, a mix of Evangelion and Rasephon, I suppose. With this username, he supposedly spammed his streams and partook in noticeably incel-like behavior, frequently talking about his lack of a girlfriend and girls hated him. He'd talk about the girls he would ogle and whine about how unfair the world was to him. Supposedly on Gaia online forums, he would vent about his home life, complaining about his dad, saying how he wanted to kill him in the night, along with his mom, who quote-unquote, she was kind of a bitch too. This was the account he posted his adult fanfictions with. Allegedly, a few years ago, he was tricked into sending and receiving nudes from a 14-year-old girl, who then leaked the info, which led to him being hacked by trolls, supposedly. With the same alias, he made a gory, blood-filled fighter called Lunar Scythe, where, surprise, a teenage girl who thinks people do not deserve to live is brought back to life by Death himself to go on a killing spree. This game, that took him allegedly 3 whopping months to create, he deemed worthy of showing his idol, the creator of Skullgirls. Said creator, Mike, of course wasn't the hugest fan. He asked to see the code, which he criticized and unfortunately told our young Yandev that he wasn't interested in ever hiring or working for him. This led our boy into a depressive spiral, doubting his abilities. He then, and I quote, turned his depression into a burning hatred that fuels his desire to develop indie games and eventually outshine that asshole. This was just the beginning of his internet notoriety of being unable to accept any sort of criticism or just being a not so great individual overall. For starters, he has not had the best repertoire for how he interacts with people. He has made content, comments, and etc. both mocking people who've critiqued him or carrying out unnecessary arguments trying to myth bust anything less than ass kissery. He allegedly roasted some fan art drawn by a 10 or 11-year-old in a video which has now been deleted. He's gone after a fan in his Twitch chat.
Like, as long as somebody is in your party. You're a fucking retard sold out. Go fucking kill yourself, dumb shit. You're a fucking idiot. When you're playing a story game, you gotta pay attention to the story, dumb shit. eat shit and die, fuckhead.
Then there was the legendary email saga, where Yanderedev put out a series of videos complaining about the number of emails he got, complaining about his lack in progress on coding the game was due to the sheer amount of emails he got, saying he gets 50 to 100 a day, which he spends 90% of his day reading and answering. If you have anything less than exactly what he wants, how dare you waste his time and therefore the progress of Yanderedev. He goes on to say how 2 entire weeks of his time was mostly wasted on emails, so thankfully in a second video he explains how he will no longer be reading or responding to less than helpful emails. Surely he understands that this will absolutely 400% bait people into emailing him to troll him more, right?
Okay. Now that I have uploaded 2 videos begging people to stop sending me so many emails, I am guaranteed to receive less email in the future. Time to go to bed. It's the start of a brand new day. Time to check my email. I bet I got way less than usual. Seriously?
A lot of his critique comes from the fact that his game, as of August 2020, 6 years later, still is not finished. Like, a demo is still not finished. Game is still in alpha. So in 2017, he made a golden duo of videos explaining why Yanderedev isn't finished yet. In these monetized videos, he goes on about how he is the only person working on it and in charge of way more than one person is capable of, but goes on this spiel about how he knows he isn't cut out for coding this game on his own. But in order to hire someone else, he needs a Kickstarter campaign to fund the proper team. But in order to do this at Kickstarter, he needs a reasonable demo. But to get this reasonable demo out, he needs to finish the first rival. But in order to finish that first rival, he's got to code it himself. Question mark. He can't just get someone else to code it all now, because they would rewrite the whole thing, import it to more updated versions of code in Unity, but doesn't want to do that because it perceivably take months and quote-unquote kill the hype. He thinks he can't let the hype die because then his Kickstarter wouldn't succeed, even though he is a multi-million sub YouTuber with multi-million views on a Patreon earning thousands of dollars a month with a huge fan base. He's worried about his clout dwindling while he spends much needed time quietly developing the game instead of consistently putting out lackluster updates to keep the hype train afloat. He then goes on about how awesome it would be to just give up on doing Yanderedev as his full-time job to finally enjoy gaming and watching anime again instead of working 12 hours a day, 7 hours a week, but mopes about the loss of his clout and recognition, and boo-hoos about what his fans would think about him. To sum that up, Yanderedev cares more about being some renowned developer who rose up from the ashes of nothing to put out this legendary game, funded and backed by his adoring fans, riding the popularity train into the sunset, than to allow a team or company to back his game and finish it out. Can't risk his own wants and needs to finish the game and move on with his life, because that means risking his popularity in Yanderedev bucks. Another huge component to the anti-Yandev wave rising up is his bad code and his inability to accept that it is so. I'm not gonna pretend like I know and understand programming, as I'm just an artist. I draw, sometimes animate, but code, don't know shit about it. What I do understand though, from the help of various programmers out there breaking down the Yandere code, is there are some glaring issues. There are a lot of else-if statements in the code, providing a huge meme on our poor Yandev. Though for you and I normies who don't know code, I'll try my darndest to explain this in a way that we all understand. Games are typically optimized in various ways to run better. For example, items out of frame don't render until they're in frame. Far away people and objects are like low poly or 2D instead of 3D to save how much your computer has to render to show you. Basically, Yansim has a bunch of unnecessary nothing going on that the game has to constantly check for and process, making the game chug on even the most absolute beast of computers. And supposedly, Yandev doesn't take too kindly to critiques or people suggesting ways of easily optimizing or improving the code so things run a little smoother and go a little easier for him. He's not taking any of that. With every rise in some sort of criticism, Yandev continued to portray the worst possible ways of handling any of it. So much so, he has an entire page on his website dedicated to debunking it. Yeah, I'm serious. So this hoopla has been occurring for several years. But let's fast forward to our legendary year of 2020. This is when some DMs were leaked. Last year, a conversation between Yanderedev and a developer for a game called Watashi no Mono was posted to Twitter. Watashi no no Mono was another Yandere type game with a couple of different fun features implemented. It looked like a genuinely cool game and a lot of people were interested in it. The developer slowly stopped working on it seemingly, and then finally announced in July of this year in 2020 that he was no longer pursuing the game and would cancel all production of it. In their announcement, they said, "Watashi no Mono was originally just a fun project that I was going to do, where the game would be like Yandere Simulator, except the rivals were me and my friends' characters rather than my own designs. It was never supposed to become a complicated game at all, just something that'd be enjoyable for my friends and I. I only uploaded the first progress video to show off to my friends. I was a small YouTuber and I didn't expect anyone to catch on to the project. It got more and more exciting to work on something that many people enjoy. However, not all of the attention was positive, especially because of Yandere Simulator drama going around. People started putting Watashi no Mono on a pedestal above Yandere Simulator. However, that was never the case at all to begin with. It was just a simple project, and I never had any real program experience before it. However, Watashi no Mono was not a fake game, but a genuine attempt at one. Over time, the expectations got higher and higher because of the attention coming from people who didn't like Yandere Simulator, rather than people who enjoyed the project by itself. Eventually, I lost interest in the Yandere genre entirely. There's a lot of gameplay flaws that a game like that would create, and the game would just be boring with the way it's being executed. I'd like to make my own games with concepts that I enjoy, and the games that people can appreciate without needing to hate on another game. Competition is fine, but this got out of hand. I'm sure a lot of people have been anticipating the return of Watashi no Mono, but I am no longer interested in staying in the Yandere Simulator community, and I have no plans of returning. This was not an easy decision, but I am leaving the project, and I hope you can all respect my decision. I'm very happy that I've gotten to this point and this amount of support. I'd like to thank every single person who volunteered for the game or decided to support the project financially. Thank you for taking an interest in Watashi no Mono." This seemed all fine and innocent, I suppose, until a Twitter user leaked some DMs from this developer, Homemade Meal, and Yanderedev. I'll read these messages. "So in short, you're asking me to go up to my entire community and say, 'Hey guys, my game was fake the entire time. My coding's bad and I'm starting from scratch because the game is trash in general. Sorry, you can leave the fan base now.' Yes, because that's my understanding of the situation, and it would be nothing short of honesty and transparency to admit this to your audience. I took people's suggestions. That doesn't mean I'm incompetent or bad at anything. I don't know what to tell you. It's like I'm speaking to people who come from two completely different realities. In one reality, Watashi no Mono is a sham. In the other reality, Watashi no Mono is a genuine attempt at a game. What I do know is that people feel justified in attacking me, or lose faith in me, or withdraw financial support for me because they believe that Watashi no Mono is proof that I could be doing my job faster. But from what I hear, Watashi no Mono is held together with bubblegum and band-aids, and you've even had to reboot development from scratch. So if I make a video saying, 'Guys, I don't have enough income,' and the response is, 'You don't deserve income, Watashi no Mono is proof,' then I have to follow up by explaining that Watashi no Mono isn't an example of a well-developed game, and it would suck ass to have to do that, since I hate drama and discussing other games. So if you came clean to your audience, then there wouldn't be an ugly, messy situation for me to have to deal with. The irony isn't lost on me. It's possible that I have an entirely incorrect understanding of the situation. Maybe the volunteers and ex-volunteers I spoke to were exaggerating or mistaken. I have been told that X is 2, which is why I've been drawn to the conclusion that X plus X is 4. Maybe I've been misinformed about X. What I do know is that when people attack me, mistreat me, abuse me, harass me, their justification is Watashi no Mono. You're working on a project that negatively impacts my well-being. Bruh. And when I ask you, can you please tell the people in your YouTube comments not to be shitty towards me, you won't even agree to do something that simple, that basic, that humane. Homemade Meal says, you're literally asking someone to take down their hard work to better your hard work. That's not quote-unquote basic and humane. Then there's this gem that came from Yanderedev's server, something of the sort. And I'm not sure if this came after the Watashi no Mono thing or the next thing I'm about to talk about, but he says this. The actual drama started a while ago, but I don't feel like talking about that. If you're unaware that your project is having so many destructive consequences on another person's life, how can you possibly continue? Don't you see how harmful and damaging this is for me? If the cost of Yandere Simulator was ending a person's life, I'd cancel development. This started the fiasco of claiming Yanderedev was suicide baiting his competition, which no matter what way he kind of spins it, that's absolutely how that reads. The next fiasco is a similar situation. Yandere Simulator's assets, which some if not all were pre-made boys Yandev bought from the Unity asset store or volunteer works, if I understand correctly, were leaked. Then another indie programmer, Dr. Apis, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, rose up to the task of seeing if he could recreate Yandere Simulator. After 6 years of excuses, whining, arguing, gaslighting, etc., we still don't even have a demo of Yandere Sim. However, in 2 weeks, Dr. Apis started and released Lovesick, which is pretty much a Yandere Sim but better sort of situation. Of course, this spread like wildfire and became a meme that someone up and made a better Yandere Simulator in 2 weeks, versus the actual Yandere Simulator, and you know exactly how our boy Yanderedev reacted. Poorly. He goes off, absolutely off in Discord addressing the situation, pretty much dissing the creation of Lovesick, saying it's just a copy-paste of his game and it steals a lot of his copyrighted work. He calls Lovesick a scam and says this lovely line: "Tens of thousands of people are falling for the false narrative that it's possible to recreate Yandere Sim within 2 weeks and are spreading the notion that everyone should jump ship from my project to this new project. I presume that this will have a powerful negative impact on the ability of the Kickstarter to be successful. If the Kickstarter fails, Yandere Sim can't exist." This part is bolded. "This is an existential threat to Yandere Simulator." He also says action has to be taken, swift legal action. Someone asks if they can talk about Love Letter, which is Lovesick but renamed due to Yandev claiming he intended to have some, feature or mode or something that was called Lovesick in Yanderedev's server, to which he replies no, which is where he should have left it. But then he also adds in, after the person asks why, that it's a scam project, stolen assets, nobody should support it, get that shit out of here. And it's a hateful project started by a hateful person with the intention to damage me and my project. Followed by, and I'm censoring this, F that awful piece of shit and F his shitty scam project. And here are some DMs that leaked between Yandev and Dr. Apis. The AOE model comes with 80 animations, but Yandere Simulator has about 400. You can obviously use any animation that you purchase from the Unity asset store, but I can't give you authorization to use any of the animations that were created specifically for Yandere Sim. Dr. Apis replies, "I know. We have animators creating original animations for us. A lot of people came out, surprisingly, and wanted to help. It's very generous." To which our boy graciously replies, "Those are all people who probably would have offered to help me if my reputation hadn't been tarnished by clickbait YouTubers spreading false narratives and untrue accusations about me. The help you're getting was taken away from me." These DMs and other leaked Discord screenshots just make me absolutely speechless. The first time I had read them, I got genuinely mad. This man's pride is so fragile. You could destroy it with one singular particle of your grandpa's most gentle fart. I get it. Yandere Simulator is his everything, his pride and joy. But Christ on a bicycle, dude, acquire some integrity. Like, even a shred might do you some good. This is just not how you act at all. The fact that this dude is 30, man, every single clown on the internet lately is 30. Apparently, there is not hope of growing up. You just stay a brat forever, I guess. Anyways, the sign started early. The email videos were very telling. Instead of either filtering his emails, hiring someone to take care of that for him, or just ignoring the garbage in the first place, he needs to make it known that it is your guys' fault his development is behind. Gosh darn emails, because of you guys, he has spent hours upon hours of wasting his precious time and energy responding where it's absolutely unnecessary. He goes on and on about how all of the hate and drama is pulling him away from the development of the game, when the reality is he cannot figure out how to let it go and focus on what's important. It's sad, it's embarrassing, and it's annoying. Like, for someone who pretends like trolls are such a detriment to his project, he sure does feed the ever-living hell out of them time and time again. You know what you do to move past trolls? You don't feed them. You don't act like a man baby online and it will take their chaos somewhere else. But no. Then these DMs to these competitors, it paints a really, really bad picture. Could you picture somebody or to draw something similar to one of my drawings, but like better or faster? And then I personally slide into their DMs talking about, "This is a scam. You are pulling supporters that are supposed to belong to me away from me." Bro. Bro, I interrupt this program for a public service announcement. No one owes you their support. You are not entitled to their money, their compliments, nothing. It is a privilege. It's not a right. And it's pretty shameful to act like someone else coming along is stealing that from you. This isn't Monopoly. This isn't a Monopoly. People are going to do things better than you. They're going to do things faster than you, no matter what. People come, people go, ideas come, ideas go, you come and go, and your ideas are not somehow holier than the next person's. Yanderedev does not own the Yandere trope, or the simulator trope. He He does not own the Hitman style gameplay. He doesn't own the boring ass concept of a dark-haired, ponytail-wearing, weeaboo Seifuku style anime girl. And you know what? Here is my personal take. I bet you he is under the impression that he is some sort of prodigy, rising from the ashes to make this hashtag OC do not steal game that will blow up and make him rich. And every single downfall is a slight against destiny. Like, he has such a pathetic self-important attitude that you could taste the 3-day-old unwashed ball grease through the screen alone. Ugh, sorry. Which is the way he acts towards his fan competitors. He acts like he is entitled to the genre, all of the success, and how dare you even try to come for any of it. He whines about these false narratives, but the real false narrative is him chasing after this concept that he is destined for indie game greatness, and all below him will lick his toes. The reality is, he's a small internet goblin like the rest of us, who gained a lot of attention for merging two popular as heck concepts during the time that they were the most popular and couldn't handle the attention he got. Then continuing to disappoint and disappoint, but continue to scatter the crumbs of whatever he possibly could to maintain his grasp on any thread of clout he has left. What he should have done was do one of those big spicy STFUs from the very start and just kept doing his thing on quiet, not posting updates until he was fully ready to release his demo. Then there would have been no drama. None of him acting like a crybaby for all the internet to see and further drag down others when he feels himself sinking. I'm sure his Kickstarter would have done fine without all the stalling and kissing your own cheeks. It's infuriating. Don't act like this, guys. Just don't. So while the banned speedruns of his Discord server keep running wild, the memes keep flowing, I'm sure Yandere Sim won't grow from this at all and continue trying to get the gaming and anime community to suck his toes. The shame is, without all this hoopla, he seems like he'd be an alright dude. I'd support him if he never acted like this, honestly. Sometimes you just need to learn to take the L and move on, dude. Who knew such a catastrophe would be birthed from one small cringy internet fad? Alright guys, sorry for a bit of a rant, but thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me what you think, leave your questions, comments, concerns, etc. below, whether it be about the topic of the video or the art featured in today's Speedpaint. You're also more than welcome to leave a future video topic suggestion below or DM me with them on Twitter or Insta. And here's this week's featured artists. Enjoy their lovely art, and as always, their links will be in the description box below. Make sure to join our Discord server to have your art featured or make friendarinos with other nerds like us. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, be good. Thanks again, guys. Bye!